It's the 131st edition of the best rivalry in Division III hockey. Oswego State, Plattsburgh State, inside the wheelhouse. And an early offsides call as Adam Shredowitz just a step early there for the Cardinals.
And Shred's one of the best players on this team, but starting and looking at Plattsburgh, I should say, their keys to the game. First off, you've got to play a tighter game. They don't score a lot. You got to limit shots on both ends. In the first whiteout game, you give up 13 shots in the first. Parita makes a couple saves, but they end up winning. Of course, make Kazakowski uncomfortable. Forcing turnovers is the best way for Plattsburgh to get goals past Kazakowski, who's been great in net. And finally, take the crowd out of it. It's whiteout part 2 for a reason. The crowd is rocking. You've got to silence the crowd, especially early on, where the Lakers try to feed off these guys.
And Oswego State looking for some early offense as Mitch Emerson carries into the zone. He's going to swing it around, but it's played by Philip Middleton, the Cardinals' graduate senior captain, up to Mitch Hale. Hale is going to try to find Draven along the wing. Draven moving in with some speed, harassed by Antonucci behind the net. Back on the front, Shredowitz took a shot. Looked like it might have skipped wide, might have hit the stick of Mitch Emerson. So some early good opportunities for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they've looked really good flying on all cylinders. Lakers trying to generate too, but a really stifling defense do the Plattsburgh Cardinals have.
And a big hit late early on, of course, physicality always big in a rivalry as Falanga carries in for the Cardinals past Antonucci. He's going to dump it down low, trying to find Young, but he comes out with the puck, trying to find a pass in front, but a good stick play there by Max Novick, and Antonucci clears his own to center ice. Pizzo fanned on a little bit as Gillespie's going to chase Kyle behind the Plattsburgh State net. As just a minute and 5 seconds into this rivalry game, of course, a spot in the SUNYAC Championship at Geneseo on Saturday on the line. Josh Zizek tried to get out in front, and Travis Broman was a step too slow, and he's going to try to get it back to the point. Carson Vance. Vance setting up the Lakers offense with Carter Allen as Vance controls up blue and takes a shot, rebound in front, and Gillespie couldn't get a stick on it. Good opportunity there for the Lakers as they move. Gillespie in front for Zizek, took a shot, rebound right in front, pass to Broman, he scored! Travis Broman and the Lakers draw first blood.
And what a great play by the Lakers. Zizek a couple chances in front, and the vision of this captain to get his backhand pass over to Broman, just brilliant. And Broman with a no-doubter as he puts it behind Parita as we watch the replay here. Puck in front, Gillespie prying it out. Zizek, one chance, two chance, holds, hesitates, fans on it, gets to Broman wide open as 3 or 4 Cardinals out in front. They're outnumbered but not outmanned as Broman slips in behind the defense on the back door.
And just a minute and a half into this game, the crowd already brought to their feet by the stellar sophomore, Travis Broman, as puck dropped back, won by Christian DeFelice, Plattsburgh State. They've got to quiet this crowd down very quickly to make sure this doesn't get out of hand. Puck back to the neutral zone, played by Dowell, but it hits off the skate of Molinaro, and he'll chase against Ryan Hogg. Molinaro knocking Hogg down there, no call. Might have been a high hit there as DeFelice and Lewis go to work behind the boards, but it's going to be Christian Dowell carrying out for the Cardinals. Dowell chipping and chasing to McMillan, but it's stolen away by Lawson, dumped over to Alden. Lawson and Lewis, as Lewis, we know he can lay the boom, he does there, but it's back behind the Lakers net, controlled by Tyler Curry. Molinaro once again carrying in. He tried to chip for Lewis, but Lewis needed line changes. Kirkby took some friendly fire there, and he got shoved into his own bench. Spink out to play for the Lakers as we go back to the neutral zone.
Yeah, and battle with DeFelice, their number 23 for the Cardinals. He had a pair of goals in the win against Brockport, which were his 3rd and 4th goal of the season. Not a goal scorer, but had a great chances there in the first playoff game.
And with that stoppage in play, Matt, let's look at the keys to the game for Oswego State.
Well, first off, be patient if you're Oswego State. Plattsburgh's defense, they'll collapse in below the hash marks, but you can't force it. Second, situational awareness. Plattsburgh offense is so opportunistic, not really dynamic. When they're buzzing, chip it out and get behind the puck and finally win the first 5 minutes. Lakers doing a great job of that so far in that early goal. But again, this is a young Cardinals team, 9 freshmen, as we said. You want to shake them up a little bit, and it looks like they might be so far.
And a good face-off win there by a freshman, Christian Thomas, for the Cardinals, as the puck's still deep in their defensive zone, but a good stretch pass to Kuhn, who's moving in with some speed. Kuhn moving in 1-on-3. He's just going to have to swing that around and try to find Thomas, but a good play by Tyler Kirkby to chip it up to center ice as Spink chasing Arujo. Pass up ahead, Cardinals moving in. Kuhn in the slot, try to get a backhand, but a good defensive play there by Scorpio getting back. Novick laying a hit on Thomas behind the net, as the physicality definitely playing a factor early on in this one, as Antonucci might have got hooked in. We're going to have a whistle here, and we'll wait for the ruling.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a penalty. Maybe the net's off its moorings there over in Kazakowski's end as he's going to ski it off towards the goal line now. Take a bit of a gander or a walk, I should say, as really both goaltenders tested so far. Plattsburgh hasn't been credited with any shots on goal, but again, they've got some puck play in the Oswego State end.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, Kozakowski is taking the skate as Tredowitz will center that top line. The freshman from a bit of a local kid from Baldwinsville, New York, a town over from where Stephen Kozakowski is from Liverpool, as Sutton takes a spill, and then Emerson takes a spill on top of him. No call as Andrew Pizzo controls up to Tredowitz. Cardinals trying to just chip one up there, and Kozakowski will cover. It was an absolutely beautiful day here in Syracuse for a Tuesday afternoon baseball matinee. The hometown Syracuse Mets hosting the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the second of 2 games here at NBT Bank Stadium. International League play. The fans filed in. Like I said, an absolutely gorgeous day for baseball, and the fans definitely got their money's worth in this one, a nail-biter all the way to the end. A pretty big crowd on hand for this early afternoon tilt between the Iron Pigs and Mets. However, Lehigh Valley was on the board first. 1 on for Austin Listy, who finds the gap in left center field. That scores 1, and the Mets trailed early. The score stayed that way until the 4th inning when Gregor Blanco unloads on a curveball, turns on it, and drives it right over the party deck in right field. It's a 2-run shot for Blanco, giving the Mets a 2-1 lead. And how about Tim Tebow not doing so hot at the plate? But you can still change the game with your glove. Only half the game is at the dish. And check out Tebow making the beautiful dive and grab in left. Let's check it out one more time. Tebow locates the ball through the sun and makes the play. But as I said earlier, at the plate, it was a much different story. Striking out twice while going 0 for 3 on the day. He's batting under 150 at the moment. The Iron Pigs tie the game in the 7th, but in the 8th, it's Luis Guilherme giving Syracuse the lead for good, driving in the game-winning run, and the Mets split the series with today's 3-2 win. And the Mets will look to continue that momentum in their next series against the Pawtucket Red Sox, who are in last place of the International League. So some time to make up some ground in the standings for the Mets. And reporting live here at NBT Bank Stadium, I'm Luke Owens. Classic number and a classic uniform look for Syracuse here at Lava at Turning Stone. The new jerseys unveiled for Syracuse football, and I gotta say, I love them. As you can see here, the classic look from Syracuse, keeping the orange and the blue, but also keeping that orange pride across the chest. I love the classic look, and so did the players. We got a chance to talk to Mo Neal, and the new guys are digging the new threads.
It felt great. You know, I know these fans been waiting to see these jerseys, man, and it was unbelievable outcome. You know, it was great to see everybody out there happy, and I love them. The team love them. The team got to see them this morning. The guys that, that was, take part of what happened tonight, we saw them a little earlier, but, the team, got to see them this morning, so, it was a great reaction.
And AD John Wildhack says that all 3 variations of the jerseys will be available on Cuse.com, which is huge for the fans. They wanted the orange, they wanted the white, and you can have all of them. I know I want all of them on Cuse.com. Those will be available in August, and something to look forward to for sure for Syracuse football fans. Baseball meets basketball in a special first pitch here tonight at NBT Bank Stadium. Boeheim's Army in town for this weekend's TBT tournament. That action starts on Friday, but before those players hit the hardwood, they come to the baseball diamond where they'll be throwing the first pitch here tonight in front of the Syracuse Mets. We'll see who has the best arm. Maybe Michael Benedict comes out firing tonight. Going to be a fun event here at NBT Bank Stadium. I'm Luke Owens, reporting. And here at NBT Bank Stadium, some nice weather and a nice crowd at hand to see the Mets' top pitching prospect, Anthony Kay, the 24-year-old lefty from Long Island, make his Syracuse Mets debut. Kay, a little bit of a rocky start, allowing 5 earned runs in 4 innings, but he also tallied 6 strikeouts, so you can see the promise there in this lefty, touching 94 miles per hour most of this night. And also Robinson Cano, another major league star in the lineup tonight. Brandon Nimmo sat out, but as you can see, the nice weather, the fans come out, and they have some good players to watch here in Syracuse. It is an absolutely beautiful night for baseball here at NBT Bank Stadium. As you can see, a nice crowd on hand. Maybe it's because of the weather, maybe it's because of the opponent, the AAA affiliate of the New York Yankees. The Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders are in town, or maybe it's the free merchandise, the free t-shirt as you see here, given out by the Mets today to the first 1,000 fans here in attendance. But don't worry, if you missed today's game, there's events all weekend here at NBT Bank Stadium. Tomorrow, the Mets will actually be changing their names to the Syracuse Butter Sculptures, a nod to the great New York State Fair. And on Sunday, it'll be Wall of Fame Day, where they'll also honor the 1969 World Series champion New York Mets. So a lot going on at the ballpark, some nice weather ahead. Definitely want to come out and see it here at NBT Bank Stadium. And we'll start our headlines starting with the biggest news out of college football. Alabama will be without quarterback Tua Tagovailoa for the rest of the year after he suffered a dislocated hip in the team's game against Mississippi State. Matt, does this injury knock Alabama out of playoff contention?
First off, you nailed the last name.
I did.
I just had to say it.
Yeah, I really did.
And I really think it does. It's such a gruesome and scary injury. The one that was similar to Bo Jackson. Fortunately for Tua, he actually they caught it earlier than Bo Jackson did, so they think he should be okay. And I think you have to look at Alabama on the outside now. They already were on the outside, in my opinion, needing the eye test to propel them into the top 4. And how do you make the top 4 with Mac Jones?
Yeah, I think that eye test you mentioned is going to be huge going forward. I mean, they play Western Carolina and then Auburn. I mean, Auburn, a decent team, but that win I don't think puts them in over a Pac-12 champion or a Big 12 champion. I think those conference championships have been valued. They should be valued going forward. So I think Bama's on the outside looking in.
And even if they're not, how does LSU and Georgia not get in as the two teams? And you have Clemson and the winner of the Big Ten, I assume would be either Ohio State.
Yeah.
You could see maybe Penn State sneak in if they can beat Ohio State this weekend.
Don't
or even
count out
Minnesota.
the Gophers. Yeah.
Even
Tough loss
Minnesota.
against Iowa, but they're still in it if they can win the Big Ten, like you said. So yeah, those conference championships are important. And if the committee doesn't see Bama playing in that game, in which they're not going to, I think that's a problem.
And to me, is Mac Jones an elite caliber quarterback?
And we don't really know.
haven't seen too much from him, but if Tua's playing, I can understand putting him in. He's the best quarterback in college football. Apparently, a top 5 pick projected before the injury. I don't see how you move on and put them in without him.
Yeah, and from a personal standpoint, I just hope Tua kind of gets ready to go for the NFL draft because he's just so special, and his mobility is really what makes him so special.
Yeah, Portland Trailblazers announced that Carmelo Anthony would wear number 00, the 35-year-old forward posted to Instagram to share his thoughts as to why he went with 00. And Luke, my favorite one, it's so corny. It really is. And my personal favorite, when he says that it's a number greater than any assignable or countable number, there's zeros. It's not infinity. He's wearing 2 zeros.
It could be infinity. All you have to do is you smush together the zeros.
Look at the zeros
you
on
loop
the screen.
them like
they're
this.
not smushed.
You know what I always struggle with in math class? You're gonna make fun of me for drawing the infinity sign was so hard to me.
That is really
I would
tough.
turn my paper like this and write 8. Yeah, I was real bad.
Because you can't do the 2 zeros, or else they look kind of weird, squiggly, or they're too far spaced apart.
And I don't know if that's surprising. I'm not a big math guy, but I'm so happy Melo's back in the league. Of course, the 2003 national champion with Syracuse, my hometown. And his lowest points per game average ever was 13.4 when he was last in the NBA with the Rockets. So he's a good player, I think.
And he never really got a shot with the Rockets either. He played like 5-6 games, 10, and they caught him in an embarrassing fashion.
Yeah, and I think the problem with Melo is just he refused to come off the bench. He wants to start.
And he still hasn't. He started today.
Exactly.
We'll talk more with Andy on that one.
Yeah, we'll see how long that goes.
Yeah, we're going to go to a quick break here on Stick to Sports.
When we come back, Colin Kaepernick worked out last weekend. Does he have a spot on an NFL team? Don't go anywhere. What's your original reaction to this incident?
I was actually in shock that this could happen. And look, as you know, Luke, and as many of you I'm sure know, I didn't play sports in high school, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand how someone can lose control like that. Yeah. I'm kind of appalled. You just see it, and yes, you have some back and forth. But I don't understand how you could think taking off a helmet and then swinging at someone is a good idea.
Yeah, and you really encapsulated exactly what I was going to say about how, it's kind of egregious. You weren't expecting it. Of course, I watched this live, and I was kind of in shock. And I thought Baker Mayfield was a guy that really, after the game, made me think, that's exactly how I was feeling. He looked like he was in shock. He wasn't really talking about the game. And he said, he's my teammate, and I still think he should get suspended, and he's going to get suspended.
Yeah, and it was interesting having him walk the line, because he's friends with Mason Rudolph. So for him to toe the line right after a game, an emotional game that they won, I was so impressed by the way he spoke.
Yeah, I thought it was very mature, especially a guy in Baker Mayfield that really gets a lot of flack sometimes from the media. I thought he handled himself very well in his postgame with Aaron Andrews. So it was interesting to see, and then just the reactions on Twitter and social media were just crazy. Because we just don't expect to see things like this. I mean, today's the 15-year anniversary of the Malice at the Palace. That's really kind of a comparison where you're just in shock of how crazy it was.
Obviously, the report is he's going to get the longest suspension in NFL history for an on-field incident, and he should. I've never seen anything else like this. I don't know how you can go on like that.
Yeah, and his appeal hearing will be on Wednesday, so we'll see how that goes. And one person that's almost gotten lost in the shuffle in this situation is Mason Rudolph, who I really think got off easy with really no discipline against him as he was not suspended. So do you think he got off a little bit easy here?
Yeah, I think to some extent he did. Obviously, it's kind of hard to say that because he got clubbed in the head and could have. It could have gone really, really south.
Yeah, it could have, yeah.
And it's fortunate that it didn't. And Sheldon Richardson of the Cleveland Browns said he antagonized the fight and then claimed bullying. He said that you get what's coming to you when you antagonize it.
I kind of agree with that, kind of don't. I don't think he deserved to get clubbed on the head with a helmet.
If he gets punched in the face, yeah, he deserves it.
Exactly.
But
I think he deserves to get punched in the face.
On the top, the crown of the helmet
Yeah.
to the head, that's dangerous.
Because look, he was on the ground. He could have stopped right there when his helmet was ripped off. He gets up, gets in the face of Myles Garrett. That's a situation where it looked like he was acting a little bit tougher than he really was. And Garrett probably deserved to take a swing at him, but the helmet club was just a little bit too much.
And let's be real for a second.
As mentioned earlier in the show, the MLB announced its Hall of Fame class yesterday. Among the finalists are the likes of Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte, Sammy Sosa, and Manny Ramirez. What do all of these players have in common? They were all users of steroids or other PEDs. The response so far for these players has been a hard no. No, we will not allow cheaters into our sacred Hall of Fame. Hey, they broke the rules. They don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, right? Dead wrong. Look at the history of baseball, people. Every generation has cheated the game in some kind of way. The early 1900s were riddled with pitchers using spitballs to alter the outcomes of games, not to mention the Black Sox scandal. The most egregious form of cheating or wrongdoing happened from the start of the MLB until 1947, where players of color were not allowed to play the game. The late 1900s were riddled with players jacked up on cocaine and amphetamines, which then leads us to the steroids era. For one, Bonds, Clemens, Sosa, the list goes on and on, were all Hall of Famers before taking steroids. Steroids don't automatically make a player great. And let's be completely honest, the steroid era saved baseball. People digging the long ball started in the steroids era. Bonds chasing Aaron, and McGwire and Sosa's home run battle. That was must-watch television in a sport that many had grown bored of. Just last week, the Houston Astros were accused of cheating the game. Does this mean everyone involved should not be allowed a chance in the Hall of Fame? The Baseball Writers of America have yet another chance to do right when they vote for this year's class. They once again have the chance to put some of the best players of all time into a Hall of Fame for a sport that has far from a perfect history. But then again, many of us do not have a perfect history. It's just time the MLB accepts that it is far from the definition of perfect.
The baseball diamond isn't the only place the Astros have been making headlines either. After questioning Sports Illustrated's Stephanie Apstein's reporting, Astros owner Jim Crane has issued a letter of apology. The apology comes 5 days after Apstein reported that now former Astros assistant general manager Brandon Taubman allegedly yelled, quote, "Thank God we got Osuna," end quote, towards a group of female reporters. In the letter, Crane wrote that he is apologizing on behalf of the organization and retracts it inside the statement. Crane also assured the team will learn from this experience. Now shifting over to the college football world, after a promising 10-win season last year for Syracuse football that ended in a Camping World Bowl victory, the Orange have struggled mightily in 2019. Yesterday, the Orange fell 35-17 on the road to Florida State and are now 3-5 on the season. Syracuse is also 0-4 in ACC play, the only winless team in the conference. To make things worse, earlier in the week, senior offensive lineman Ryan Alexander literally quit the team and an offensive line that has given up the most sacks in college football. Ex-49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh, now with Michigan, he's never been able to win the big game, but the big house was rocking. Mama, there goes that man, Jim Harbaugh. And Michigan had it going early. Jack Charbonnet up the middle for the touchdown, and Michigan getting out to an early lead. Here's Charbonnet again. It was a Charbonnet show in the first half. 74 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Michigan running back. And now a fake handoff. How about Shea Patterson going to Donovan Peoples-Jones, taking the hit and the slide for the touchdown.
Taking a hit to make the play, and Harbaugh happy about that one.
Yeah, you know, Jim Harbaugh's loving his Wolverines. They were absolutely rolling, and then Shea Patterson took a lot of slack, especially early in the year, but he's going to go up top to Nico Collins. Another touchdown for Michigan, absolutely pouring it on the Fighting Irish.
Beautiful throw there, as the coverage was pretty solid.
And how about True Wilson, the true answer for Michigan, going through the 20, outside numbers to the 10, and into the end zone. Michigan absolutely rolling in this one. Final score, 45-14.
And it's got hops.
Going into number 5, hey Matt, I see your 1 reverse, but we're in London. How about 2 reverses, back to Goff, and how about a Cooper Cup of tea? Cup with the catch, a little shifty move to get past Kilpatrick. 20, another cutback into the end zone. That's sick. Number 1, how about San Jose State and Army going up top? Bailey Gaither. Is he able to Gaither that in? Yes, he does. Let's take a look. He tips it,
Did he get it? Ladies and gentlemen, he got it. No respect for the troops there as Bailey Gaither goes up and over the Army defender. What a catch. San Jose State, the highlight and the win.